Today we're going to the Belaya and we're doing it with the cheapest bolognese rods you can buy. So absolutely beginner friendly with really simple baits, really cheap rods and reels, fishing at the Belaya for brown trout, for grayling, and for chub. So let's get started. I'm still at Mosquito Lake here because when we go shopping, of course we shop here at Mosquito or at Winden Creek since the prices here are better than at the Belaya. The shop at the Belaya is insanely expensive, so we check out the shop here. We sort up here under rods by Bolognese rods, and here we already see them, the Bolognese rods. This is the Sensitive Bolognese 2SB13. It costs only 58 silver, so nearly 59 silver. Super cheap. I'll grab one of those now. Then we look at spinning reels. This one is the cheapest. The Spark 2 3000S. We'll take that too. It's only 9 silver. And now we need a suitable line for the reel and the rod. The line should of course be below the rod's load capacity, because if something bad happens, we don't want the rod to break. Obvious, right? The rod here has a load capacity of 3.8 kilograms, so that means we now need a fishing line that's under 3.8 kilograms. And for the start, we'll go with a mono line. We can actually fish there even without a leader using mono line. Not ideal, but unfortunately, sometimes we just can't buy leaders in the right size. The shops are often sold out, so we look here under monofilament lines, go for a simple thin mono line, and we'll take this one here with 3.5 kilograms. That's still super thin and also relatively transparent. Not as ideal as fluorocarbon. We'll want that later, of course. But still, and we'll look at this more closely in a second, there's enough line capacity on the reel spool. That's also always important. We'll look at that in detail in a moment. In the assembled setup, we can now clearly see how the values of rod, reel, and line work together. So we have a rod with 3.8 kilograms load capacity, a line below that at 3.5 kilograms, so the rod won't break. And the reel is also under that. It could also have a breaking force of 4 kilograms. That'd still be totally fine. Just have to watch the break. Don't set it too high or something will break. But with this setup here, as it is now, that works really well. We've got 3.2 kilogram breaking force and a line just over that. So we can crank the break up nicely. We'll check that out live later. Now, of course, we still need a basic float. We go to the rig components, look at classic floats, and since it's still dark, it's best to take a lighted float. They're not that expensive. I'll just grab this lighted float, costs another 6 silver extra. The setup is looking really good already. Now, ideally, as mentioned earlier, we still need a fluorocarbon leader. For that, we go back to the rig components, then to regular leaders, then down to fluorocarbon leaders. That's important because fluorocarbon is nearly invisible underwater. So that's great for fishing at the Belaya. And here we try to find a suitable leader with a capacity under the line strength. But most of them are sold out in both versions and at most waters. If they're sold out, off to the next water, check there if they've got the leaders. At Volkov, you usually get everything. But that water is only accessible from level 20. Of course, in the beginning, we can also just fish with mono. That's what I'll try first. And later I'll use pliers to make my own leader from fluorocarbon. That's not cheap either though. So we start with mono for now. Now we still need a suitable hook for the whole setup. A size 6 is a good one to start with. Size 6 is great for starting out. And the good thing is, with that size, we can use various baits that are a bit smaller. So we start with that. That's what we'll test first. And for bait, we need insect bait. So back into the shop, up here to natural bait, then to insects. And these are the baits that are super essential for fishing at the Belaya. Starting with the simple fly, and once again, completely sold out. Same story. The shops get restocked regularly, but it varies. Sometimes it takes a while. So again, travel to other waters, check there if they've got them, or buy alternatives. If the fly is not there, go for the break fly. And look, we've still got some break flies. I won't buy too much now. I've still got plenty. So we can use the break fly well. Or we go for the mayfly. That one's a bit more expensive. And you can theoretically use any insects here, especially from the first row, water beetle, and of course mole cricket, but we'll skip that one. It can only be bought with gold, and it's completely over the top as bait. That's more for sturgeon, so we don't need that. But we'll start now with everything that has little wings and try it at the Belaya. And here we are at the Belaya. Let's go. Theoretically, we've got the whole water here. I mean, it's not that big. You can run it up and down, cast out now and then, and test it. I'll start right here at the front, so right here at the camp with our lights set up. So this here is our setup. Very simply put together, totally basic. Size 6 hook, just one fly on it, or actually I'll use the brake fly first and nothing else. Now we set the depth to about 1 meter. Let's see, especially at night, test now and then if a deeper setting works better. But we're already heading into morning now. I'll do a half charge cast first, not very far. I can't get much distance. So reel in speed to max and we'll keep the brake at 15 for now. When the float bobs and a fish pulls down, hold down shift. So we hold it down and with the left mouse button, quickly reel in. Then while reeling in, press the right mouse button too. Let's see if something bites or if I cast a bit farther next. It's a bit too close to shore right now. I'll pull it in a bit more. Everything's fairly light. So now, fully charged cast with shift held. That's a better distance. That looks good. We can zoom in. The key is Y or Z at the moment. Helps us see better. Then if it gets pulled under, reel in full speed, plus right click, and there it goes down, and we already got the first fish. Look at that. That was pretty quick. Hooked well too. Quite easy. What do we have here? A small perch? No, an Arctic char. Really small, but for now it's about testing the bait. If we find one that works well, we can consider using a bigger hook. But keep in mind, not all baits work with all hooks, so always check hook sizes. In this case, you can use up to a 2-0 hook. I'd go with a size 1 max at this water. That's enough. So cast out again and let it drift. Keep it at 1 meter depth. Let it drift nicely. If you've got enough skill and feel confident, try it with a second float. That ups your chances, but it can get hectic if both rods bite at once. You've got to be quick. Especially with Balinese fishing, keep the line off the surface. That way, if a fish bites, you can strike fast. If nothing bites while drifting, reel back in eventually. Maybe the bait's not that tempting. Or, we still don't have fluorocarbon, so the fish might be more cautious. So first, we change bait and test something else. Let's go with the mayfly now. Full cast again, depth still at 1 meter. Let's see if the fish like it. And something's taking it. Nice. That one's got a bit more weight. Still no giant, but a bit bigger. There we go, a nice grayling. Very good. This one's a keeper, 500 grams. Very nice. With 500 grams, that's already worth it. So cast it right back out with the mayfly. Same spot, full power, let it drift, and see if it hits again. We've also got drifting float fishing now, which is always a good sign, adds a bit of attraction. That works nicely, and I'll reel this one in again. If it's just one fish, you can keep moving. Now let's look at the map. What are good spots? Right at the start is always worth testing. This whole area here, cast out far, spinning or float fishing, both work well here. Trout go through here regularly, not just grayling. You'll find grayling more often in this area, so cast around here, let it drift. Same for spinning or float fishing. Both work well here. And there was a bite, but not hooked. Tighten the line a bit. Don't leave too much slack. Lift the rod tip so you're ready to strike next time. Nice. That's how it should be. And when we find a good spot like this, look, even a little brown trout, then we can keep testing here. A bit further north, you can also cast toward the rocks. Left and right or in front of the rocks. Full cast. We're not getting super far yet, but if we use a heavier float, we could cast farther. Ah, missed one again. What's this? Another small brown trout, yes. Now we see the baits working. So let's go bigger. Size 1 hook. I've got a slim size 1 hook here. Let's take the same fly, hover over the eye. We can use it from a size 22 to a 4-0. So now with the bigger hook, same fly, cast again, let it drift. And there, another bite. That one went a bit to the surface. Maybe a chub? Let's see. Still no fish has taken line on the break yet. None that strong. Oh, maybe this one a bit? You can barely hear it, but it's pulling. If it runs left, we've got to follow. We don't want it to escape left. So we run ahead, steer it back right. It'll then flee that way again, and we can follow. Normally, you shouldn't get spooled here. Just steer the fish a bit. If it runs hard left, run with it. Always keep line tension. Try to steer it back the other way. So, This back and forth, that's how you control the fish. Try to keep in a small area so you don't get spooled. You don't have to run non-stop, but guide it left or right to keep it close. We've got 212 minutes of line here. Not bad. From this 1.9 millimeter thick line, we've got 200 meters. That should handle even a 5 to 6 kilogram fish realistically, tire it out and land it eventually. So now, it's all about testing. Try different spots, especially down here on the big rock. Great for trout fishing. But down here, it gets risky. If a fish runs left, we can't follow. So always steer fish to the right. If it bites, pull the rod that way, make it flee there. Same here at the other end, on this big rock down here. If you're all the way down, steer fish up. If they flee down, they'll spool you, break the setup. So cast relaxed, let it drift, and when the big one bites, pull the rod right so it runs left, and boom, another one on. Nice. Got some weight too, just like it should be. So, always watch the break setting and bring it in with the current. Yeah, float fishing is awesome at the Belaya. Really worth it. It's been improved a lot. Yes, nice brown trout, even part of a cafe order, 800 green. That's worth it. Always test again. And you see, even with this very basic setup, you can land really nice fish here. No big effort, cheap gear. Now it's just testing baits, from worm to fly. Test it all. See what works best. And don't get discouraged. Early percent levels in float fishing, you catch less. From 30% on, you catch way more. It just keeps getting better the higher your percentage. And there we go, another nice one. Really good sizes coming in now. Try with a size 1 hook, test which baits work, go bigger for bigger fish, and then fill that cash register. If it helped you, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe, really helps me out. See you in the next video, or maybe live on stream. Until then, tight lines.